Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another RGL cast. My name is Jarrett, and I'm here with Space Coast to bring you guys froyotech versus GlobalClan Ice. We are continuing the playoff train. This is playoffs round 1, RGL Invite 6's Season 6, and all these teams that we saw yesterday and today are vying for the champion spot to claim themselves as the winner of RGL Season 6, but only one can reign supreme, and only one can win tonight to go on to upper bracket round 2, while the loser will fall down and have to face Ford Gaming vying for their lives, and the winner will take the chance to continue on, loser taking fourth. So a lot of hype stuff happening this week, but starting off with both these two teams, Froyo and GCI, both have had a pretty long journey throughout the season, but have landed themselves a playoff spot. And I think the map pool is going to be Bagel, and then Sunshine, and then tiebreaker that I need to double check real
Villa.
quick, Villa, that we will be covering tonight. So I'm pretty hyped about that. What do you think about this matchup, Space Ghost?
I think it's interesting. I'm also interested in the maps, but I guess one thing to bring up is that, froyotech, historically dominant team, I think a lot of people are gonna write off GCI, and GCI I don't think is a team that you should write off, I think they're kind of the dark horse or wild card of the season, and I think they definitely have some potential here to upset Froyo.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, GCI have already shown in the regular season that they have the ability to upset a grand finalist level team. So, I mean, even though it's not necessary, I mean, they got fourth seed, so they've had some losses throughout the season and had a little bit of a tough journey, but who's to say it couldn't happen again? It only takes one good day, and that day being this day, and all of a sudden you can land yourself in a pretty good spot in this playoffs race. But Froyotech, it's going to be a tall order to take them down. They definitely have a lot up their sleeve, and their ability to adapt throughout the season is shown pretty hard, especially in some of the closest matches that they've had. So I'm pretty interested to see what's going to happen. But for those of you who maybe haven't been following the season too much or just showing up for the playoffs race, probably important to go over the rosters so everyone's on the same page of who's playing and who's in the server and whatnot. I'll go ahead and go over the froyotech roster. It is Banny and Slemnish on Scout, Blaze and Mirrorman on Soldier, Habib on Demo, and Skis on Medic.
And for GlobalClan Ice, we have Catface and Capt on Scout, Recruso and Sin on Soldier, Sin Karma on Demo, and May on Medic. And for those of us who haven't watched earlier, we have casted a lot of GCI, and one thing that is always confusing is that they have two players named Sin. They have Sin, their pocket soldier, and they have Sin Karma, the Devil Man. So if you hear a Sin, just make sure you know which one is which.
Yeah, I think they just call Sin Karma, and then except for Rakusa, who calls him Demo Man. Hey,
Good old
Demo Man,
Rakusa.
shoot that guy. It's a very Rakusa thing to do, but there's a lot of talent on both these rosters, so it's gonna be pretty interesting to see them go head to head. I think actually, fun fact, Bagel's gonna be Froyotech's pick, but when we go over to Sunshine, which is map 2, that's actually gonna be a rematch of a regular season match earlier this season. I think it was like a 5-1 or something. So GCI are picking that despite the loss, saying like, all right, we're gonna learn from the regular season match. We're gonna figure out what we need to adjust and try to go from there. So I'm pretty interested about that, but gonna have to wait a little bit before we see that happen. Gonna have to start out with Bagel, a Koth map in the trio of Koth maps in this season. So that, everyone plays Bagel a little bit differently and Koth a little bit differently. But when you think about this matchup on this map in particular, what comes to your mind right off the bat about the strengths and weaknesses for these teams and what they're gonna have to deal with?
On this map, I think Habib is an absolute menace on this map. Demo's really in general on this map. The soldiers too, and honestly, I think one big aspect of this map is the flanks. Specifically because, there's two houses, you have your house and their house. And I think there's a good amount of potential for players to, kind of get behind or cause shenanigans in the house, and it's kind of easy to, go in and maybe overpower someone if someone's, a little caught out in the house. So I think definitely Habib and the two flanks of both teams respectively have I think it's in their hands more so than normal.
It's cool because this is the one map where you can actually flank more often in situations that aren't like in a forward hold. Like you think about other Koth maps, and usually if you're actually flanking around and doing stuff like that, it's like, oh, I'm going through their spawn or stuff like that. But here, because the houses give you a little bit of protection, if you can find an opening, you can actually try to go for some sort of solo play and loop behind people that are unexpecting. So it should be an interesting dynamic to the both teams playing, and it's gonna factor into whatever strategy they decide to roll with. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about raw score predictions. This is a Froyotech pick. They are obviously coming into the game with some sort of game plan. I don't think GCI have played this match a match on this map this season, but I think froyotech in the same vein have only played it like once. So both teams, the only experience they really have is froyotech has like the 1 week they played it, and then both teams have whatever scrimming that they did versus other teams that had those matches, maybe, which is probably not that much, but maybe just a handful. So both these teams are I'd say, relatively fresh when it comes to strategies, like developing them and making sure everything's refined for a playoff race in particular. So when you consider how much is at stake right now, what do you think is going to happen for the end score?
I think considering it is Froyotech's map pick, I'm sure they have some technology in their back pocket they can pull out if worst comes to worst. So I'm gonna say for this map, I think it's gonna be like a Froyo like 4-1, maybe 4-2. Like, I think GCI definitely have the potential here, but again, you can have a lot of really close rounds on Bagel and have it not show up on the scoreboard. That is definitely one factor of cough, and I think that's going to be the case. I think we could see some close rounds, but maybe still a 4-1 or 4-2 for Froyo. And on that note, we're on and away on our first mid.
True, I somewhat agree with the 4-1. It sounds about right, especially since both teams are kind of warming up to the map. It's been a bit, but on to the first mid we go. Spam long range, try to get as much damage as you can right off the bat to soften up your opponents. But no one's really actually, never mind. I was gonna say no one's taking positions in the house too much, but froyotech are peeking at least a little bit inside. GCR playing out at least somewhat passive right off the bat, not going too far deep. Want to make sure they're available for any bombs or anything like that. But so far, it's just Spam, he's worked his way behind, collecting the packs. A little bit of space for his team. They start to get on the point, battling Sin Karma, but pops Habib up in there and actually able to get the kill. They don't collect the kill on the Sin Karma. Mirman falls as well, able to take Rakusa with him, but it's a one-player advantage for the side of GCI. They continue to fight this Blaze pretty low, but Sin is going to live at least for now. Slummish making sure that Cafes is cleaning up. Caps getting really aggressive, trying to clean up Bandy, who is very weak. Will back up and continue to be healed, but the damage and positioning is pretty good for the side of GCI, able to take this first cap. Blaze putting in some damage. There's poking right back in. The Ubers are coming in play, and they might even actually... I guess they're not even using it, they're just letting the cap go back and forth. This cap goes by very quickly, but...
That's one thing we neglected to mention is how easy it is to just get the cap without even using it. It looks like that's what GCS gonna go for here. They're gonna just edge the cap, and both scouts are getting really aggressive right now, but they're gonna lose to here. No one's really popped Ubers yet. I don't think there's been a single Uber yet this match. They've just been poking and prodding and trying to win that way. The cat face is down, but yeah, GCI just elects to back up here. Don't want to Uber exchange, just want to chill. Blaze is going to drop really low. I actually have a great surf onto the pack, though, preserving his life there. Now, it looks like they want to use their Uber now because they're heading in.
Yep, walking onto the point is pretty much the entire team for the side of GCI. Spare a couple. A lot of spam. The cap will go their way, but Khabib immediately getting back on it, trying to poke around and pressure themselves. But yeah, neither team is really finding a good opening to really run across the point. They'd be really forcing it, but maybe they might find an opening for the side of May. He's getting pretty aggressive. Caps is thinking about it, walking towards the enemy team all the way over towards Banny and Skis, but he'll get dropped, except that Uber is not used, so I guess it's just technically a pick. I guess May held that with something in mind, but Uber will finally come out. Yeah, Cafe's running forward. Uber get popped on Habib, but pretty low on both sides. Sin has to all the way back up to a pack. He's unable to collapse, and I think with that knowledge, especially with Cafe's dying, GCI are unable to find anything with their Uber
trying to get in for salvage. Rakusa trying to get for salvage, unable to get anything. Now we have Sin bombing, and he's actually going to land on Benny here. Benny behind, not going to get anything. Benny's just on like a... He's flanking on May. Is he going to get... He beats a little bit, gets May in the end, and Sin Karma's going to drop two. Here's Slemdish. Slemdish gets Sin Karma, the flanks from the Froyo scouts. Massive work there, getting the enemy medic and demo.
Yeah, we talked about how flanking is a much more viable thing on this map, and we're already seeing it now. So, good place, and then they lost both scouts though, so they're going to have to play heavily on this Uber advantage that doesn't necessarily come into play quite yet. Because they lost both scouts, this is an ample opportunity for the side of GCI to get right back on the point, get some cap time. They don't have scouts themselves, so it's going to be, or they do, but it's going to be difficult with Rakuso being dead. Scout's not in position to get on it, and they're actually not going to be able to use the opportunity, so froyotech still holding on to the strong. And they still have Uber ad to work with if things go south too far, but Sin looping around behind, trying to get a bomb out of Skis. Says no, pop into the air straight up, but with the wall shot misses. He does die to Sin though from spam across the map using the distraction. So Uber advantage disintegrated as May and friends are trying to work their way forward. You have a couple behind. Blaze is gonna fall. Banny's still lingering. Habib in front. Actually, not even in front. He's only behind in the other team's house. He's causing a distraction, but Banny is unable.
He rules caps.
Oh, he gets caps at least, but
Banny's still behind. He's trying to spawn camp Rakuso. He's actually hiding in a corner in spawn. I can't remember the last time I've seen Banny do this. Look at him. He's in so deep.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's been a while since we've seen him go for a raw spawn camp.
The rare and famed Banny, he's gonna spawn camp caps.
I'm just watching this one.
Yeah, I'm watching this instead of what's actually happening.
I'm just the point's gonna go. Yeah, I want to see. Easy. All right, well, that's a one player ahead and someone behind that they're going to have to deal with, so got to keep in mind about the pesky scout behind. Mirman actually getting very low with a duel by Rakuso, but the Uber will come out for the side of blue team, trying to run at skis with their Uber at 50%, but will be able to clean up Mirman, trying to escape. Yep, Blaze bombing in, at least causing a distraction. Will land a little bit too early, May on Uber quite yet. Banny collapsing, trying to get as much damage as possible, but May still at half health. Bombs given to Rakuso, trying to land himself on to Slim. Yeah, getting very weak, almost eats that rocket, but will get arrowed up by the side of skis, and they're one down, but they do have an Uber ad to work with only a couple more seconds until they actually get it, and they pick a door to try to burst their way through.
Look at this point time, too. I think they might try to go for this and not even try to use their Uber, because they have, I don't know when, but they got so much point time. Probably were watching Banny behind. And it looks like GC, I kind of know this. They're trying to aggressively spam here, but this point's so easy to cap. Karma's going to drop low, too. He's not getting healed. He's like, oh, he's going to die to spam, and froyotech takes the cap, and they still have their Uber to work with here.
Yeah, Cafe's behind. He's being a little bit pesky, drawing some people back, actually. So a little bit of room for the side of GCI, despite being down in demo. It's going to actually let Sin spawn, and it's buying time for May's Uber. This cap has not gone off, despite froyotech having this full Uber ad to try to take charge and make sure that they maintain control over the area. They still own the point, at least, but GCI are trying to get on it, taking it back. At least it's blocked for now by the side of Froyo. Both teams just staying on the point, but the Uber will finally get popped off, running into skis, will pop to save his players. A couple weak players on both sides. Sin after dropping pretty low to 50, but it's going to be Blaze that falls on the other side of the map. Blue team backing up, a red team taking position to try to retake this point. Rakuso trying to duel Mirman, will get cleaned up by Banny eventually. I think, actually, never mind.
He got
the chase
out.
stops, and it's on to Cafes instead. He will fall, though, to Snickies from Sin Karma, so Demo down, and Banny as well. This is a total collapse for the side of GCI and Froyotech. They just got to get out of there, especially with skis.
Red health,
19 HP, they're on the chase. They know they're weak. The arrow on the Mirman, though, he's barely living, but not quite enough for him to live long enough to get into spawn. So GCI getting those couple picks and cleaning up to make sure they can maintain control over not just the point, but even get themselves into a forward hold here.
And with very small, it's not sizable, but it's enough that you can maybe do something off of if you have to pop, really. So they do have 20%. Banny's gonna peek a door and immediately regret it, eating the 80 damage immediately. Okay, the soldiers do get through, so they do manage to get through left side here. Mirman is on the right side, kind of alone, isolated. Blaze gonna bomb in, try to make space, and I like how forward they're going. They want to use this. They're in. There's so many kills to be had.
Beam's dead, Blaze dead. Skis has his Uber though. He has an opportunity to get back to the point. There is somewhat of an overtime. Cafe's gonna fall. Banny running forward. Uber has not been expended yet. There's three behind for the side of GCI, but Sin will fall. No down, and May's off, and no man's land. No scout to give him scout speed to run away. So that's 3 kills. But Uber collapses the side of GCI, trying to collapse onto skis. The caps will go away for you. Cap's still in the thick of it, but we'll back up. Sin using the opportunity to go on to skis, but he will land on the pack to safety. Cap's trying to go for a play. Oh, he misses the jump, but he just drives by Banny with one shot, but it's not quite enough. But there is a little bit of time, but it's gonna be pretty rough. They have to use the Habib pick to their advantage. Ubers will not come into play here. Trying to run towards the point. Gotta get any captain if you can. You just cap it, you win. There's 5 seconds up for the side of froyotech. GCI on the point. They have to block it. Flank for Mirman, trying to bomb on the Cafe's getting very low. Will eventually fall. Banny falling as well. 1-3-1. At least in trades of kills for Kuso falling as well. froyotech standing on the point, but Caps trying to take his heals and put himself there as well. Ubers will not come into place. So they just have to play this dry as fast as possible. But Sin's in, landing on the Blaze, and Skis so much insane. The last rocket misses, and Skis will at least live for now. Being an arrow Blaze with the last death, Sin will collect the kill. So many players left alive for the side of GCI, and it's just Soldier left alive for the side of Froyo. GCI using the spawn advantage to the very maximum, taking that first round in overtime.
That was one of the longest overtimes I've seen in a while, nail biting throughout, and it's just that with respawners, it's, they lost people early, but it doesn't matter. The point time is so massive, and it's so easy to contest the point. They were just able to keep doing it over and over again. Not much you can do as froyotech there in that scenario, and on that note, we're on another mid here, and they're just gonna go for some aggressive spam. Not much happening. They're gonna drop a little low, but nothing else. Sin's actually in-house getting a little aggressive too, but I guess they elect, after all of that exciting business, to just poke and prod.
Man, look pretty slow. I mean, we saw that last man. They want to definitely feel the enemy team out and get some good opportunities to get some spam. Usually you can see sometimes teams that go straight off the bat with like some soldier bombs or maybe trying to pick someone in one of the houses, but both these teams are just trying to play off damage and looking for opportunities. But froyotech taking a pretty hefty position on top of the point.
Skis.
Though onto skis is Sin, causing a distraction. Habib will fall though, and skis dying to an arrow from May. May does it again. Another match, another kill. Yep.
Blaze isn't trying to get post, but very unfortunate timing there. He's unable to get in, and Banny's in. He's trying to make some space off of anything, but there's no one else is there to help him, and he's just gonna fall. And very clean from GCI. Now they have 6 players up and a massive Uber ad, and looks like they're gonna settle in for a forward hold here.
Yep, trying to take some positioning. Not everyone in position quite yet. Sin is rolling out, so the spam on this right door is a little bit low. Might give froyotech an opportunity to bust through. But I think they recognize it. They want to pretty much play safe with their Uber. If they just bust through and get forced, it wouldn't be that great for them. So backing up, giving themselves a little bit more space, especially off the fact that they didn't have their entire team up for the forward hold in time. So froyotech have a little bit of room here. They're going for a little bit of a dry at the start, not bombing it quite yet, but will eventually
Blaze.
pull the trigger. Blaze bombing in, as well as the beam trying to land on May, but will eventually get that force. We're taking on Rakuso in turn as well over on the side of the flank. Mirror Man is going to fall for that, but Slemdish still lingering behind. Might be a bit of a nuisance. He's actually trying to go in the last second. Gets one shot on May, but oh, the second one is just chip damage. Not quite enough, and May lives at like 30 HP.
May got like, because May didn't know Slemdish there, he like dodged in a weird way into Slemdish, and he didn't quite expect that. I've been there as a scout player. It does happen. Sometimes they accidentally kind of run in your hitbox, and that's what happened on froyotech. They do have this Uber to work with, but they you know, we have to see whether they edge the point here. It looks like, yeah, that's what they're going to do. They want to use this Uber and take it as long as possible. So they're just going to try to edge the point. But GCI knows this, and they're also blocking the point. froyotech they're playing like they don't have Uber.
Yeah, they're just trying to retake the fast cap time, I suppose, not necessarily use the Uber unless they see a really nice opportunity. I think May was pretty far back, so if they just used for the sake of getting the point, it wouldn't have netted too much. So trying to play it slow, but GCI doing the same thing in turn. They have an Uber of their own to work with, but also just trying to poke around the point. Catfish is behind though, trying to go for a plank, landing on his skis, and will eventually get that force, so expending one for the horse. But both soldiers on the side of GCI a little bit weak, have to get arrowed up and take packs. Skis kind of weak for this poster, but no bomb will be had until Rakuso bombing in, trying to land on the flank side. Will collect Mirror Man. Blaze and
both
yeah, they're both behind, able to clean up Sin, and the collapse from froyotech is coming in full force, trying to land on all these players behind, but will eventually cleaned up. So 5v3 scenario for the side of GCI. Yeah, trying to land on Habib, and Rakuso going for skis instead, able to make sure that medic is collected, and that's a successful play coming from the side of GCI to make sure they can hold on to this point at least a little bit longer.
This round is quickly turning into GCI's round all the way through. They've had Ubered and the point in multiple situations, and on Bagel, that's not something you want to see, because it's kind of hard to get in and also get that force. Like, froyotech had to use 3 people last time. I don't know. I think they're just going to dry. They know the Ubered, it's only 30%, so they have a pretty reasonable amount of time here they can dry. The Stickies... Actually, Skis almost died to the Stickies that got launched into him.
Just barely to Sin. Karma dropped extreme low, and Sin actually surfaces the damage back, be able to get arrowed up, so that's a huge pick for the side of GCI, getting on the point. A lot of damage though, Caps immediately getting melted, biting off a little bit more than he can chew, so 1 for 1, and Habib will eventually respawn, but GCI, they have this Uber to kind of work with if they really want to try to take this cap with full force, but no one froyotech is only here until Banny's able to get on the point, but they will eventually use the Uber, trying to run at Mirror Man to collect any kill that they possibly can, but they're actually going really deep, and Sin is going to die in the backline, so a little bit collapse, but May unable to serve. Oh, the collapse from Froyo is just collecting so much right now. Cafe's falling, Rakuso trying to get some sort of collapse. Skis surfs out and lands with like 8 HP to barely live. And Rakuso and Sin will die as well, so the chase was a valiant effort, but it really didn't collect enough for GCI to hold on to that in froyotech. They counterplayed that perfectly.
That was a big play from Skis too, you know, trusting his teammates and not popping that Uber. If he popped that Uber, it might very well be just the automatic GCI round, but you know, because Skis has his Uber now, GCI have a much taller task ahead of them. They have to sack, get this Uber out. Sin could have died immediately before he even lands. Look at these sacks, they're just getting stuffed so hard. They're gonna... Okay, Skis took 60 damage from 3 players. It's kind of hard to get the force on this map, and yeah, that kind of shows it. You know, now froyotech's gonna settle in for a forward hold here. So GCI do have a tall task ahead of them, but they only have 28 seconds left on the cap, so if they can win 1 team fight, it should be it.
True, and there's a lot of froyotech players close in this forward hold, so they can wait a couple seconds to get their Uber of their own. They can find a way to, you know, trade some kills off to be able to work their way towards the point, but overall on their own right-hand side, froyotech on their opposing left, trying to lock down the doors, but a rotation coming out, and it's actually going to be a bust out through main. Uber will eventually get popped out for the side of Caps, trying to chase down Skis, dropped to half HP,
solo.
but the milk, it's good. Oh, he milked to 12 HP, but chasing away. Caps just going to, he's going to bash himself to save
is he?
May and Sin getting collapsed on by Banny, cleaning up all that damage.
They got
a lot of
Skis
players
in the
dropping the
backline,
fires.
though.
Yeah, Skis and Habib falling as well. It's a 2v2 scenario.
He got 2 kills.
Rakuso and Catface versus Banny, and who's the other soldier that's live? Blaze.
The spawns, though. The spawns are all GCI right now. We're going to try to go into salvage a little, but the spawns are just so much in GCI's favor. They're all up already. They're going to be able to get the point here with 25 Uber ad in just 1 team fight, you know? Their mid died first and ended up kind of working in their favor in the long run.
Yeah, that's all they really needed. Just get a couple kills and you respawn faster. And since this cap spawn goes so quickly, it's already starting to tick down. I don't even think Ubers are going to come into play here. I mean, maybe if it goes into
overtime.
serious overtime. time, but froyotech trying to poke around. They know they want to put the clock in their favor. 10 seconds left for the side of GCI. Catface will go for a play over on the flank and will pay for it. So
Caps
one player
is gonna die too.
Caps as well. Both scouts falling. That's going to be pretty disastrous for the side of GCI. And Maze getting chased. Oh, the salvage from Sin, though, keeping his medical life at least a little bit longer. Arrow up, and May will get another arrow. What the? Somehow May has collected by far the most arrow kills out of any medic in the Individe division this season, and he's keeping the number boosting up. But I guess Cassius Cursed Ubers will probably come into play here. This loop around, trying to get as many kills as possible. Uber exchange coming up with no overtime. You have to get on the point. You have to, it's really rough because you have to be in the Uber exchange, but also get cap time eventually. Poster Bowl come out, Sin will immediately melt. But all they need is to get this cap time and let it run for a couple seconds. Habib getting jumped on will eventually fall, expending a lot of resources for it though, trying to collapse his cap. Cap's so deep, Banny, red HP will not be cleaned up, and his cap is falling instead, and it's a 2v3 scenario, one of them being a soldier. That's a rough soldier life.
Yeah,
that's froyotech taking that round.
Another double overtime there, and a soldier versus 2 scouts, especially with the beam, that's a tall order, and only so much you can do as a soldier class. You have 4 rockets and a dream, and a 1-1 for Froyo versus GCI, so far predictions could be correct, but both these rounds have been distressingly close if you're a fan of froyotech. Usually, if you're watching froyotech, you see a lot of dominance, so this has been anything but.
Something about Koth this season is just tons and tons of overtime. I feel like the last 3 matches we've casted have been just overtime matches after overtime after overtime, and who knows, we might see it again. But going on to the next mid, May is actually taking a lot of damage. He has to leave the mid to go take a pack, and froyotech are actually abusing that at least a little bit over on the flank side, trying to push over, but Sin getting the collapse. Blaze is going to fall, and Slim getting chased at least a little bit, but not quite enough to be able to collect that kill. But 1 player advantage for the side of GCR. Rakuso making moves of his own with Catface over in their own house. Manny trying to get on the point to block as much as he can, trying to land onto Sin, but will eventually back up and be safe. Bomb, actually, there's a counter bomb coming from their own team, but so far 1 for 1. At least for now, Cap will not go either way. Flank. Oh, it's a nice play from him.
Tried to chase, So point hasn't been capped yet. Both medics have Ubers, and Karma's gonna be a little low. Both teams are trying to get this cap, but no one can really get it because they're just blocking each other constantly. froyotech does have a little bit of a superior spamming position right now. It looks like they're gonna get it. Blue might want to exchange, or no, they're just gonna try to get the cap here. They do have the better spawns. They can go do stuff.
Sin melts!
Oh no!
Just runs across the point and immediately dies to Banny and Habib combo, but Rakuso getting chased a little bit. 1 player advantage, and it being a demo man is pretty huge. So froyotech, kind of leading the charge here and holding on to this point. I don't think GCI want to actually go forward while the demo man is still rolling out. So this is a lot of time off the clock here for the side of Froyo.
They are edging the cap though. They're getting the cap edge pretty well. No one's even really that hurt other than Caps. Blaze is in-house, getting a little aggressive. Both Caps is going to fall, actually, to Blaze and just peeking this door. May's not going to take any damage. Look at the spamming positions of froyotech. Blaze is just running amok in their house, killing so many players, and they're going to get the cap back immediately, but not before losing Mirror Man. Rakuso going to fall, too, to a pipe.
Sin trying to get chased down by the side of Slumnish. Will eventually get that kill, but will die for it. So a lot of kills for the side of Froyo. Have to give up a couple of kills themselves, though. A couple deaths on their side. So opportunity for GCI to use a spawn advantage to eventually poke around, maybe get an Uber exchange off, or at least at the very minimum, abuse the fact that maybe some flank doors are open in one of these 2 houses. Rakuso might find an opportunity to bomb it or something like that, depending on what strategy they want to go for. But so far, the trigger's not really been pulled. Now, froyotech's, their spawns are already here. They didn't really use the advantage. I guess they didn't really see anything too much, but they're trying to get on the point now.
Really good. They're going to lose cat base for it. Sin's actually going to go and try to get anything. Going to get flank 2. Sin Karma's going to be low, but in the end, that's the flank for GCI down. They went for a play, didn't quite get it. But they are up basically immediately. Bagel's one of those maps where if you die and you don't have the point, you pretty much spawn right away. So, they have another go at this, but the time is slowly ticking down for froyotech. GCI have to do something and get it to work, and they just can't get this cap. It looks like they're edging it now. Maybe Caster's Curse. They're going to go for the exchange.
Yep, going for the Uber exchange, trying to find as much damage as they can, but I don't think either scout is able to find anything, but Blaze going behind, cause a distraction. You have some bombs from him and the blue team as well, trying to get some counter engagement.
Really hurt
the red scouts are extremely weak. Summish will fall, Bandy getting killed up. Bomb from Blaze to make sure his team can at least survive, but that's a lot of picks for the side of GCI to be able to retake this cap and put their timer on the board ticking down.
Yeah, but both scouts, I think Slummish was trying to clean up a kill and he got caught up. Danny tried to help him, both ended up getting punished for it, so now GCI in the driver's seat. They do have about a minute 30 to take off the clock here before it's equalized, so it's on. Ubers are basically close enough. It's going to be even here unless someone, I guess the solid bat was on Bandhouse that could look at each other, but froyotech's just going to elect to try to edge the point. It is by far the best or most successful strategy in this map. I'd say Blaze actually gonna get in super deep. Sin's gonna drop very low, so the flank from froyotech making a lot of space here for the rest of froyotech. Recruzo's gonna fall, and so is Blaze. So Roamer's down, and Mirrorman's behind. Mirrorman's
Cap is able to
behind.
clean up Sludge as well. They're just making, both teams are making super flank plays, and Mirrorman's he's gonna actually, oh, the rocket into Cafe's, that was clean. Not able to clean him up though. Cafe's living with like 19 HP.
Caps is chasing.
Yep, trying to chase down Mirrorman, but will die to the soldier class indoors.
Yeah, it's those indoors you gotta watch. And Sid Karma actually gonna fall because everybody went back to go kind of help with Mirrorman behind, and they get the force.
Finds the ample opportunity to get that Uber out. Now GCI desperately trying to go forward and get any damage they can, but I think it's just gonna be Rakusa bombing in and actually getting blocked and unable to find anything. The Uber will come out from the side of Froyo. They see an opportunity to chase down May with no one on him, and they will eventually clean up the scale. It's gonna take a bit though. Cast Curse.
They were in so
okay,
deep.
Yeah,
they might get punished for this. Skis is already hurt. He's
the pack's not up.
This is gonna be tough.
Spam too.
Oh,
he's barely living. Oh, the stair splash. Thank you, mappers, for allowing stairs to be splashed.
Yeah, that
We've
is
asked for it forever, and it's happening.
And he's like in their spawn again. Okay, he's leaving. He elects to live, but yeah. That is one thing though. If you ever played Badlands or Greater any of these old maps, you know that sometimes stairs troll you as a soldier class, but fortunately, heads up on the map makers, making it a ramp so the soldier can play the game. And with that, GCI are gonna take the point and have a 30% Uber red to work with. I don't know if they exactly know they have Uber red, but you know, it's might come into play here. And they'll look at the Froyo flank. They're in again.
Oh, they're so deep. Habib just straight in, able to clean up Cafe. Sin dropping very low, but May still at full HP. They're going for this actually, this 3-man is working pretty well. Yeah, they're going real hard right now. 3 alive from the side of GCI, able to survive at least a little bit,
like
but
alone.
yeah, the respawns for Froyo are going to be much better when it comes to the second try, and all they really need is one more try with 7 seconds left on the clock. Blaze, he might find an opportunity. He's just going for a solo Blake. It's a nice rocket onto May. It's going to make May have to back up all the way and take packs, but his Karma doesn't care. He's able to kill Skis, and Skis immediately eliminated from play. May dropped to 7 HP. Will eventually use saving all of his players. No one is dropping despite all the red health for the side of GCI, and it's just froyotech that are following Habib, setting up a trap. They're going to be able to keep himself off, but it's going to be Bammy that's going in, and sorry, Slumnish, unable to find anything there. So what a heads up play from Sin, holding that trap, making sure that Skis just immediately falls, and there's no way for froyotech to be able to win if their medic just immediately dies. So going to be a reset here and an honest attempt at a dry fight for froyotech to try to retake this and turn the overtime into another round for him.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because it's so easy to pressure the cap on Bagel here that, you know, they're going to have to really commit to these fights because I think froyotech knows that they can just kind of edge this cap and there's going to be so much damage done. Now, their caps is going to fall immediately, not what you'd like to see if you're a fan of GCI. And froyotech, they're trying to get on this point. They're getting so aggressive and the damage is just not going in GCI's favor. They're all falling. And that's going to come up all Froyo.
That coordination at the end there was pretty strong. They immediately went in, but not too deep to make sure that caps is melting, and I felt like they kept positioning of their own house and the top of the point, like, really cleanly to make sure that it was really difficult to block. Like, if after caps falling, if you were GCI trying to get back on the point, you were immediately going to melt as well. So I guess it makes sense that superior positioning there, reigns supreme and froyotech leading the round, or leading the half at least 2-1, but boy, those are quite
that was a nail biter.
Yeah, that was definitely a nail biter. Very, very close rounds. 2 overtimes. Third one, I think it was under 60 seconds was the third round, which is
something like that.
Still pretty decent, but I guess it's time to look at some stats, huh?
It doesn't look like it. If you look at the stats and so far damage, it would look like it'll roll. You see Bandy at the top, Sid Karma doing as much as he can out there, 386 DPM. But the real star of the show is Bandy here with 426, and he's not even taking top heals. He's just out there doing massive amounts of damage, staying alive. Again, the damage doesn't look like it's close, but that just shows you the coordination of GCI to be able to get these points. And, you know, I think where they're holding the point, froyotech's more in spawn. So I think that's probably part of it. Because when Froyo wins, they're usually GCI still out there fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, it also proves that at the cap time reigns supreme, ultimately. Like, that's what really matters, even if you get a bunch of kills and damage. And you can even, like, I don't know about this game, but in general, when you look at cough logs, like, some people's damage stats will be super padded, but that's just because the other team was running, like, tons of sacks and just feeding for forces and stuff.
Yeah, they're just feeding the scout DPMs.
So it can, like, kind of inflate some people's stats sometimes. But at the end of the day, if you're able to just keep holding on to the cap, it doesn't matter how much damage you took and how, like, and stuff like that, really. And with how easy it is to kind of retake this point without having to wipe the other team, it really shows, I guess, that on these logs, these types of logs on this map, more than others. If you think about maps I guess the other maps in the pool, like Viaduct and Clear Cut, generally, if you want to be able to get the cap, it requires the other team to at least die to a certain extent, and you have like a giant player ad to work with, and they pretty much just leave. But here, fights can be going on, and you win it by just a slim enough margin to make them back up just enough, and you're able to take it for yourself. So if GC are able to win by just a small amount of time, by small enough margins to shoo froyotech away long enough for them to get on a cap, it would make sense that they're able to put themselves in having very close rounds as well as taking a round themselves while having stats that don't necessarily top the damage charts.
Yeah, and on that note, one player I would like to point out is I think May's having a very good game, preserving his life, preserving his Uber. He actually had less deaths than Skis, even though he lost, so I think he's been having a great game himself, and looks like we are going to start the second half here. We are froyotech 2, GCI 1, and all 3 rounds have been really close here, so we'll have to see if froyotech or GCI made the better halftime adjustments and can close out this half. We are going to have Habib with the long range spam. Not going to hit 2. Actually, May going to drop the 100 HP immediately just from the long range spam. And froyotech, actually, Sin's in super fast. He's actually going to die for him, but everyone's kind of turned around for him. I guess that was just a solo sack?
Either that or he's trying to find a way to snake his way behind, but Blaze is on the move. He's able to find an opening, and GCI
Blaze.
Yeah, they immediately leave. They know they're down a soldier and there's a dude behind. They are not winning mid that way, but Catface is going to be a little bit of a casualty there on his way out, and froyotech, pretty good play to make sure that not only Sin gets cleaned up, Blaze getting behind pretty much won them the mid right off the bat, so able to take this for themselves as GCR trying to poke around caps, leading the charge, trying to get on the point, beats it to half cap, but Sin lands in not the most favorable spot, immediately gets cleaned up by the spam from Banny and I think one of the soldiers inside of the houses as well. So froyotech still holding on to this point. I don't think GCI want to run
Blaze
across,
but Blaze
behind loops her ways around, is able to get a little bit of damage out, able to make sure the Catface is cleaned up. Uber exchange coming off, Sin popped up into the air, but the Uber will eventually fade from the side of GCI so to back up to their own side, trying to land themselves on the side of froyotech, but the Uber will eventually fade. Yep, a lot of damage for the side of Skis, having to make him back up. Sin will bomb in and get some decent damage onto Froyo as well as just Habib in general, but the arrow keeps him alive, and GCI...
They have the point, but they just back up because they don't have the spawns.
I mean, their Uber was worse too. It was like by 30%.
Yeah. Froyotech wants the forward hold. Look how aggressive they're getting. They want more. They want to get in. Even though Ubers are even, they have 6 people on the top right side of the map, and GCI gonna wisely like to go to the other side of the map, but froyotech just has immediate rotate, and people are just dying left and right. The damage is insane. They're trying to get on the
6-man rotate. They really banked on everyone flooding through the store, and they were right.
Kills are even though. Look at Banny and Blaze's respawns, like 15-second respawns, and the blue team's already up. It just goes to show you how much of an advantage it is to not have the point in terms of respawns.
Yeah, GCI are definitely happy with what's happening right now, but they need to use this opportunity. Yeah, they're collecting some more kills. Mirrorman will eventually die. Flame from Catface with the Uber change will come off. Both teams using blue team's Uber much better by like 50%. Recruso's ready for this post, landing on Skis. Skis knows he's dead. Pops up into the air, Surf eventually trying to surf away. Will complete by the side of Catface. Bomb from Blaze trying to land on May, who will get surfs of himself off and away. Slum just trying to clean from the damage, but he's a bit too far off. Catface will die in the backlines, causing a bit of distraction. So able to clean up some players from the side of Froyo, at least enough to hold on to the point, but expending some resources of their own. So now froyotech have an opportunity to use a player ad to try to take back this point for themselves.
Yeah, the blue respawns again are just so slow that it's a 4v6, but froyotech players are dropping very low. There's a lot, I don't know who did all the damage, but there's a lot of red health, and froyotech's pretty good losing. The Slumdish is in, but he can't get anything. It's just a solo play. That's an unsuccessful push from froyotech, and kind of a breath of relief for GCI, who, initially it looked a little bad for them because they were down 2 players, but in the end of the day, they're just able to get all the damage, and froyotech on the back foot again.
I guess it was a bit of an execution error. I didn't see how Banny melted on point, but I know Mirrorman rolled out, just tried to go behind and accidentally landed into Recluso and died himself. So opportunity kind of squandered there, and GCI having their Uber of their own to work with here. Skis will eventually get his as well, but we've kind of seen that it might take a bit for these Uber changes to go off to try to retake the point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they play at least a little bit slow. Slem following though, that's going to pull the trigger for the side of the Uber coming out of the side of Froyo, trying to get us in. Will eventually get the Uber off, but Mirrorman getting a lot of damage and existing behind,
with
getting
full
the
health.
Sin kill.
Is on the chase, but
the collapse though
look at the
on
froyotech. They're trying to collapse. May's actually so healthy. He's gonna die at the end. It's just Banny, and froyotech's gonna wipe everyone except for Slumdish. Slumdish in, and maybe he has a frag in his hands. Both scouts are, or both players are hurt here.
It was a good effort, but they went so deep for that. This should be a 2v1. Slumdish is gonna be
unlucky.
To be expected.
Yeah.
It's hard to win a 2v1 there, but froyotech, they had to go so deep for that.
I guess he's up instantly, so it's basically kind of like a free fight, but froyotech's gonna recap instantly, and Slumdish is up, so they're wisely able to let Slender spawn early and then cap the point. But we do basically have a dry fight on our hands here, and froyotech do have a little bit of more time to make up than GCI, you know, about 40 seconds, 30 seconds about now, and GCI actually able to immediately recap, and Habib dies for it too.
Blaze into Mirrorman trying to go for a play. Blaze will fall, but Mirrorman collecting the kill on the man. Enough damage on the Send Karma to kill him as well, so it's a pretty nice collapse. Despite losing Habib, he will just be the martyr that will allow froyotech to make sure they're able to at least, they're not going to cap quite yet, but getting enough kills to shoot GCI away. I think they're waiting for Mirrorman spawn and then cap this up. Yeah, they got an Uber to work with too, so pretty good position despite being down a lot of time on the clock.
Yeah, Skis does have full 100% Uber charge here, and May's on crits.
Ooh, this is the play. All right, well, gotta get this force first and foremost.
That's actually heads up, because they're not really exchanging that much anyway. Like, froyotech hasn't been using these Uber rats to really run at them, so to speak. So, if they can just sit there and build this crits, this might end up being a very heads-up play from May here. We'll have to see how it turns out. I don't know. GC already have like 50% put cap. Skis is gonna pop, but it's just Karma. Yeah, poor Sin.
Oh, Rakuso dies in the backlines as well. I think Kuso and Cafe try to go for a play. They're able to clean up Mirrorman and Slim, but that's about it. Just May and Cap.
And now they have full crits.
But yeah, I think they're happy with this, honestly. Realistically, they just wanted to get the force out of... No, there's no way. Not a scout crits.
Oh,
not
I think Caps wants to. Caps looks like
there's no way that... I don't think there's no way that May will let him do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just drop Caps at that point. People are gonna be dropping low, but GSAT, they're very dominant. I wonder if froyotech spotted the crits yet. Because you can spot it just by like the
know now. Catface and Sin going in, the crits comes out. They are able to collect Skis, so Skis is out of the equation. Going really deep. The scout crits will actually come out.
The damage from Blaze massive, but unable to clean up. A lot of players in red here. Let's see if froyotech can clean up on it, but they don't have the players in position. GCS gonna be able to heal up again. It's just only Caps down for it, and the point time is ticking down. Habib gonna go for a last minute bomb, so he gets
shot by Rakuso. That was quite the crits play. They're trying to salvage anything they can. The side of Froyo bombing in. They're still in this, at least for now. Getting a lot of kills, and they're actually maybe going to recap this depending on what happens. Sin very low.
The crits ad, it's going to build up way faster than Uber, 25% faster. And,
that's true.
And we might see just the crit. I wonder who do you crit
the surprise factor is gone now, though. There might be a little bit more ready. Mirrorman is rolling out, though.
Oh, here comes the crit sticky. He doesn't hit anything.
Habib in the air. They're just collapsing. Everyone's in. Habib literally launched himself in the air, landed at 1 HP.
The point time, they need to get on the point.
For now. Yep, gotta get on the point, but they have a lot of players that they can use. Mirrorman is the last one left alive, and he's not quite there in time. So honestly, that crits, that was very heads up. I want to say that the chaos from that kind of helped win the round.
I think May just noticed how the game flow is going, that there wasn't any Uber exchanges. And it's like, if we're not going to exchange Ubers, let's just have critical hits. And it worked out in their favor. I think they're both on Uber at this point. I can't have to see my caster hood, but yeah, it's a 2-2 for froyotech versus GlobalClan Ice. And I don't think this is what you're expecting if you're used to the normal froyotech level of dominance.
For sure. I think going into this, you definitely expect GCI to be the underdogs, and they definitely put on a strong showing for this map, so curious to see how the rest of it's going to go, but I think as per usual, the mids they're going pretty standard, honestly, at least for how both these teams are kind of wanting to play it. It's taken a sec for things to really happen. They're just kind of feeling it out, spot where everyone is, see if we get any like really nice damage, but Trigger's going to get pulled. Mirrorman with a nice shot on a Catface inside their own left house, and Kuso dying as well, so one player out for the side of Froyo. They'll try to take a little bit of positioning on the point, but GCI responding in kind. A lot of damage to Sin Karma, but it's going to be Sin. Sin falls instead, and this player is actually going to get the Uber forced out, trying to run forward and get the somewhat of a force out of. Yeah, Caps falling as well. May is barely escaping. There's no chase on the side of Froyo, making sure that Skis is protected first and foremost. Going to go ahead and let May live, but overall taking the point for the first mid of this round.
That's a pretty dominant mid from froyotech. They're able to get the point and force May and preserve Skis' Ubers. That's pretty much all three checkboxes you kind of want to hit there. And Blaze wants it. He goes in and gets, I think he got air punch. I didn't see what happened. Mirrorman's going to drop low too. They're going to trade for Rakuso, but you know, we'll have to see if this actually works out in froyotech's favor, because now the soldiers are basically just out of the fight. And Skis is so low, he's going to get forced. May is in super deep, but I don't know if they're going to be able to clean him up. They're just going to leave lobby.
Collecting a couple of kills, so it'll buy them a little bit of time for their own players to roll out, but it's actually going to let them forward hold here. Despite not getting May, they're going to at least forward hold because they know that they collect enough GCI players that they can't really bust through that effectively. But the Uber will finally come out. They will finally have an opportunity to try to poke through May. Just actually run through the door first. He's ready to go in.
Yeah, he's eager to get that point, and he knows that this Uber is dwindling. They have 50% right now. I want to see if they actually use it now. Blaze is going to go, and Habib's going to go. The drop! The drop! 6 stickies, but they sacked 3 for it. Skis does have 60%. They're going to wait for their medic to spawn, and then they're going to try to cap this point. froyotech's here. They might want to just fight this.
Trying to go in. Actually, Merriman dropping very low and will eventually fall, but
Trade for Recruso. But Caps is in.
Oh,
Shooting Banny, and Banny just does not having any of it. Immediately kills Caps. He had a flank on Skis there, but elected to go for Banny, and Banny just said kind of, what, no, and now froyotech has another Uber at to work with. GCI gonna have to, you know, walk uphill both ways here to get this, you know, as they used to say, yeah, because now they don't have the point, and they don't have Uber at, so froyotech has a pretty leisurely spot right now.
Yeah, back to square one. Gotta find a way to force Skis. They're able to get through, and there's no forward hold, so they're pretty much through to the point, but it's up to them to try to figure out how they want to try to get this force. Maybe just get a pick instead and work that into a force later. So trying to go for something in-house will get immediately shut down, so gonna have to wait for him to get healthy before they actually do anything. Definitely want both your soldiers to be able to participate in any form of sack, but that's just more time burned off the clock. Sin backing up for ammo as well. There's a lot of it never seems like all of them are ready to necessarily do anything, but I think they're finally jumping in. Sin bombing in with Caps, trying to get any kill they can over inside of the house, but will not find anything. It's actually Cap that falls to a trap from the side of Habib, so able to clean up that kill. And GCI,
the kills
after all this time, they're not able to find anything, losing so many players, and froyotech just thwarting their attempt.
Yeah, froyotech's probably going to go for a forward hold, looks like. Look at Habib, he has a kind of sneaky track on that ammo pack there. I think you can kind of spot it, but I don't know if you're going to expect it. Okay, it's not quite at the right spot. Recruso's kind of actually waddling to... Oh no, Recruso. Okay,
yeah,
he's
you can't
good.
see it,
I was worried. Okay,
May's
so...
pretty weak walking
yeah, May's
here.
hurt. I don't know what he must have eaten not a pipe, I don't know what he ate, but... They're gonna have to exchange Ubers or something because, or maybe they just want to edge the point. I'll have to see, because G-Side do have a lot of time they have to, you know, go up. Now, they do manage to get the force on Skis, so that's the first step, and May's not popping. Okay, now he pops. They do drop some karma in the process, though, but look at froyotech's health. They might end up all dying in this post-Uber.
Yeah, they've got a player advantage despite being down and man. Cafe's trying to flank with a nice shot from the side of Mirrorman, cleaning up that kill, so... You know, gonna take a sec for them to respawn, but froyotech with a better spawns here might be able to use the 6v5 scenario, try to put themselves back on the board, and they don't need that much more time. They're in a pretty nice spot despite not owning the point. Just look at the time difference in general.
GCI,
that's huge. GCI
they can give us
for
the
a
point
long
like
time.
once, and that's it. And then it's just gonna be overtime. So they have like one little oopsie, and then after that, even then, they can't be a big one, or they're not gonna be able to see the point again. froyotech's just capping. Bandy's gonna eat a pipe or something, drop super low, but froyotech does get the cap here. And GCI's just dying. Well. They're not really in a great position to get for this post fight. This might be a froyotech round unless something miraculous happens for GCI. And actually, froyotech's gonna let them cap. I'm surprised.
This is gonna be really rough for the side of GCI. Not only so much time is on the board, this has to be a sick Uber. Like they have the overtime to work with. This has to be like the best Uber exchange you've ever seen. They have their players now, but they're not healthy at all. GCI health is pretty sketched.
Yeah, they have the Uber exchange here just to buy time for their spawners. They do have the better spawners, so they're able to get any picks here, but they can't get any picks. They're just losing players themselves. They don't have any picks here. They do get Slendish here, but look at the post-fight positioning. They're not near the point at all. Finally, Sin's gonna get in the point, but there's only so much he can do, and now it's just May here waiting for his spawners to come in, and looks like it's coming up froyotech.
Yeah, froyotech burned so much time off the clock. Like GCI are just in a position where they're like, okay, let's get ourselves together and we'll try to do a sack wave, and they just never had anyone ready at the same time. So froyotech able to use that to their advantage, burned so much time off the clock, and put themselves in a decent position to take that round.
Yeah, that Uber ad for Skis. Skis kind of coming up big that round, really came in clutch. It may have that really unfortunate drop, which just turned a corner and ate the stink stickies from Habib. So it was that Uber ad really. They just, you know, there's only so much you can do, and the team just has Uber, and they're just have the point and they won't let you play the game. And May gonna be pretty low early on this mid, and look at the early dominant from Sin. GCI just holding W. They want to create chaos. They get Habib here.
Recruso barely lives too.
Oh, Banny's in. He's like the only one in. Recruso's gonna drop super low, and froyotech look like they may be in a better position, but they're down Habib. Cathy's is in. Sin Karma's in, and they're just dying.
So deep.
Yeah, I think they were just sacking there because they thought they were gonna lose the mid. I guess that has to be it. So GC are gonna back up here. Ubers are even though, so now at least when they push, both teams should have Uber here, which makes things a lot easier for GCI compared to last round.
froyotech only losing really Habib in that fight. They disengaged pretty well to make sure that GCI was going to have a pretty hard time to collect much more than that. So able to take this first point, even Ubers, but we've seen before that it takes a bit for Ubers to actually go off. Just both teams opting for kind of just poke around the point, and Caps will try to do that right now, but Bandy on top of it, gonna be a little bit difficult for him. But Sin, not really shooting Banny off of it, doing a little bit of some spam damage with the other projectile classes. So froyotech still holding a decent position over the point, at least for now. He's just chilling up there.
Yeah,
now
Banny's
he's finally
just
taking some damage.
He's been getting tanked up there all the time. So even if Sin, like, he shoots it for 90 and then Banny's like, just gets healed and is right back up there. It's kind of like a, you know, pushing the boulder up the hill. They just can't get Banny off the high ground. And now Banny's, yeah, look how much time froyotech's burning here. GCI wants this cap, but froyotech's just standing just behind where they're dodging all this spam. And Caps is gonna drop. The froyotech didn't lose. They're gonna lose Rakusa too. The Skis is low from something, but GCI lost 3 players for that and didn't really get all that much.
Yeah, just a lot of time burned off a clock. Oh, Mirror Man flank onto Sin and also onto Meg. Caught in a corner. Will have to use, and them lingering too long in their own lobby is gonna lose them the Uber.
Play.
Tries to salvage any way he can, but it just leads in his own death, and that's a demo down as well for their team. So it's gonna be difficult for them to immediately pull the
I
trigger.
don't think Skis knows.
Oh, he's gonna actually go in.
Skis is gonna have to pop.
Pop to the air. Oh, nice shot. It's a good thing he used there. Would have died to the air shot or the fall damage.
And he had to respect that one, and the froyotechs were in a position able to clean up on this Uber, but just Sin gets 2 there. Big play from Sin, able to get Skis and
Slim is
Habib.
terrorizing. Slim, oh, he gets, okay, he saw him valid. I thought he was almost gonna...
Now Banny's it. Oh, he gets May.
The cleanup.
He's still alive.
He got another assault. He got Rakusa. What the heck? Mirror Man make sure the Cavies is cleaned up. So this is a lot of chaos. They're pretty much full sending it. Like, we're just gonna have everyone die and clean up as many people as possible.
Basically even throughout all of that because May had such a fast respawn. Habib dropping a bind or 2 and the GCI are gonna take this cap immediately because froyotech just does not have the the resources to fight this. But now they get the dry fight, and froyotech are kind of in the driver's seat of this match. They have so much time to be able to do things here. There's no big advantage. Slim just gonna die early though. Gonna put a little bit of a break on that. Habib also gonna eat like a trapper. I didn't quite see what happened. Blaze actually the flank plays coming in, but the froyotech smarts are coming back in. Catface is in, and he's not taking any damage. He finally backs up, but GC are just getting these picks, and this is what they need, just to bleed froyotech slowly to try to cap this point.
Yeah, they got a pretty strong grip on the point, but Banny will try to gun on at least for now to try to, edge it a little bit and get some cap time, but Ubers eventually come into play, at least them having it. Probably will be a bit before they actually use it, but Sin dropping very low, walks towards the point, and immediately pretty much melts as soon as he arrives, so might be the opportunity that froyotech needs to start to walk forward. Banny getting back on the point. The Uber will come out of the blue team, running towards Habib, will eventually get that pop.
Slim is just behind
the back lines. Yeah, Slim terrorizing Sin, caught in a corner, and 3 dead, 4 dead from the side of GCI. Just May and Catface left alive, and they're immediately getting cut off by both the scouts.
Oh, there we go. Yep, there's the pinch, and now Ski says Uber at again. It's not going to be huge, but GC are basically forced to go for another dry fight here, and froyotech has 5 people on platform, and they're just electing they want this forward hold.
Oh, they have no soldiers. They're rolling out though.
That's true, but I don't know if GC they're not gonna be able to get in time. They're just leaving the lobby now, so this is just a 6v6 dry fight.
Pretty much.
It's a 5v6 dry fight.
The
trap from Habib.
Yep, this is a rough spot now because you want to just say go in and sack now, but there's 16 seconds left. You can't sack. You have
Skis
to
is
go
so low.
in
They
and
do
just
get
win.
Skis here, but the time is ticking down. They do need a little bit of cat time here, but they might not get their time. We'll have to see. They need like someone there to get time.
There's no overtime.
There's no overtime.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So froyotech is gonna take this map 4-2. So GCI put up a really good fight, but in the end they're unable to secure the victory. But we're going to map 2, and I must say for froyotech's map pick, they looked a little weak there, more than so than you'd expect. Maybe just because it's Koth or because it's kind of an untested map for both teams. But going to GCI's map, I'm feeling a little up on GCI compared to how I was before the match started.
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I will say that if there was any map that would have been kind of I think this map had the opportunity to be like the closest out of all of them, personally. Just mostly because froyotech, I think, deliberately picked a map that they haven't played, but
for the experience.
Yeah, because I think Banny has said in plenty of interviews before that if they feel comfortable overall in the matchup, they're not afraid of like semi-experimenting with the map picks just to make sure that they are prepared for their toughest opponent. So seed 1 through 4, generally you see seed 1 come on top. It kind of, I guess in their mind it makes sense that they experiment with a map they've only necessarily played once this season. But they definitely showed they're able to adapt. The first half was really, really close for both teams. But I think at the end of the day, when you come to the halftime, I think froyotech kind of solved the issues they were having in terms of trying to beat the GlobalClan Ice bleed. I think in the second half, what told the story on GlobalClan Ice kind of failing and falling flat was them not owning the point, going for their slow plays to try to like burn off the enemy team and take it back for themselves, and it just not working. And when it didn't work, it just meant that you sat there for like 30 seconds and did nothing.
Yeah, was able to just bleed off the time. Yeah, so I agree that froyotech, I'm not sure what exactly they did, but they managed to counter GCI's strategy just kind of dry fighting without using Uber, so they just wasted so much time and ended up, by the time anything happened, they just had a minute or two advantage, and it worked out in their favor. Now, looking at the stats here, I think the standout player, other than the demos, is Banny and Mirrorman. Mirrorman doing more damage than any of the other soldiers. Other soldiers are kind of towards the bottom, at least for the second half, but Banny and Mirrorman kind of standing out compared to their counterparts. Not to say anyone had a bad game. The kills are pretty even around the board. So
it was Mirrorman that was doing a lot of the flanks too, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. He was the one that was able to snake behind and like successfully the most out of all the soldiers, I think.
Yeah, looking at the combined stats too, Banny top of the scoreboard with 414 DPM, just behind Sin Karma, and it looks like it's the Sin Karma doing a lot of work out there for GCI, but just there's only so much you can do as the Demoman class. You're dropping 391. Sin Karma taking a lot of damage though, taking the most of the server, but that's kind of how Bagel demo works sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, let me just look at both the demos healed per minute. You're a pretty easy target just across the point. A lot of spam angles onto you, so I guess it kind of makes sense at the end of the day, honestly. But the stats coming out for the side of Frail, a lot. I'd say the KDs are looking pretty nice for the side of the scouts. You're having a happy time if you're playing a Koth map, and your scouts are successfully cleaning up kills while also making sure they can live to be able to retake the point. Especially on this map, just having scouts alive, they can tiptoe on the point and immediately switch it over to your side is crazy great.
I saw Banny on top of the point so often because he was just getting Sin Karma would try to shoot him, and Banny would take 80 damage and then just get beamed up and be right back up there, and it definitely made life very hard for Crusoe and Sen, because if the scouts are existing on the high ground, you don't have anywhere to land. It just makes the game infinitely harder for everyone. So I think big plays there from Banny, able to be up there while also not taking too much damage. That's, I think, one of Banny's strongest abilities that people don't really talk about that much is Banny has one of the, if not the best movement in the game. He's definitely top 5 overall. Just, he's so hard to hit, and I think he really showed it off that match.
Yeah, for sure. I think Sin had his work cut out for him, because realistically, if he's just dancing on top of the point, I think Sin's really the only person that can reliably deal with him, and if the rest of the team just focuses Sin, then it doesn't really matter what you do. You can't really recap the point very easily. It's kind of rough. And I think we saw that more in the second half. I think Froyo finally got their groove and was able to make sure that when they held on the point, they held it for much longer periods of time rather than it going back and forth like it did in the first map, or the first half rather.
Yeah, I agree. And look at the stats. I think a lot of sad soldiers other than Mirrorman. Mirrorman looks like he's the only one actually had fun on that map as the soldier class. Having a positive KD, so Mirrorman figuring out something that the other soldiers didn't. Although
they got damage at least.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. I think Blaze had a lot of untold plays. It didn't even show up maybe in the kill tier in the scoreboard, but whenever Blaze bombs, almost always it's for a good reason. You know what I mean? He's gonna go in and he's either buying time, and I think it's really just makes it so hard to play against. But so yeah, froyotech, less dominant than expected, but overall still pretty okay overall. But heading into GCI's map pick here, how do you feel about Sunshine in terms of froyotech on Sunshine?
I think generally they're fine at Sunshine. I think. I mean, they already showed in the regular season. This is a rematch that they're able to beat GCI 5-1, but who knows? Maybe with playoff stakes, things will be different. I think for some teams, I don't know necessarily Froyo, but some teams in general, Sunshine can be kind of exploitable because sometimes the mids can be a little bit wonky, and you're able to find a groove that you wouldn't be able to on other mids just because of how large it is. So, for example, sometimes faster paced mids can be difficult on Sunshine just because it can be difficult for everyone to get across to the enemy team if the other one's just holding S or something like that. It's also one of those maps that you can kind of play Ring Around the Rosie and just take each other's sides. You could on maybe Gully Wash or Process, so that's also a factor you have to keep in mind, but you can also completely thwart that, unlike maybe things like Gully Wash. So I think the factors that you can take into account for Sunshine mids are a little bit different than other maps and kind of throw you for a loop and can surprise you and lead you to your own half of the map in times you wouldn't necessarily expect. It's pretty important. We've seen in multiple casts this season where it can be pretty important to start the game on your own half of the map. It can really make or break whether or not you're able to take a round. So It's a pretty big factor. Last was a bit difficult for teams to figure out for a certain period of time in terms of finding it like the hold they want. I think uh, it can be somewhat forgiving for an offensive team if they're able to find their groove, trying to break into last. If they're just able to find a hole big enough and find the way they want to break into the enemy team's last. But we're starting to see some teams ready up, so I'm curious to see why GCI picked it as a rematch. I'm sure they have something in mind. Maybe they looked at the demo or like they know maybe they know their mistakes and they just want to like, all right, we can adapt or whatever. Yeah, run it back. We'll see what happens.
The actual run it back, they're rare and famed in playoffs too. So according to this map, I think another thing very briefly to talk about on mid is that unlike a lot of other mids, you can kind of see everything on Sunshine mid. Unless people are hiding in Cafe or in Valley, it's not like Process mid or like Granary mid, where there's big crates so people can like go for sneaky plays where you're kind of like, they can't see you and you hide behind the crate and you bomb. Most of the other maps other than maybe Snakewater, I feel like they're not really like that. You can kind of see everything on the mid, so it definitely like removes opportunities to go for like funny hiding or flank plays on mid. But anyway, yep, we are going into mid. So froyotech did take the first map, so they are up one map, but we are on GCI's map pick here, and heading into the mid, Habib actually going to do a little bit of early damage into like, not much. Blaze actually in very, very deep instantly.
Yep, a lot of damage, but he will eventually get cleaned up. A little bit of damage, but not quite enough to write home about as a player advantage for the side of GCI. Getting a lot of damage on Habib and Skis actually.
Skis they're just out.
Yeah, they're going to make them immediately back out of the mid. I guess all that compounds together to a very swift mid victory. I guess I think we immediately said it. The map is so big that if you go really, really aggressive, it's hard for your team to follow up all the time. So Blaze dying right off the bat, gonna give GCI an ample opportunity to set themselves up. Rakuso just immediately denied and cleaned up by Mirror Man. It's sad soldier life.
Yeah, I hate that roamer things. And froyotech wants to just fight. Look how aggressive they got in choke. And the froyotech, they're just trying to like pressure in, and he's on the Sin Carbon. Sin Carbon drops super low. The flank's actually gonna clean up on him. Look at froyotech, they're just in.
Yep, they're just in through the chokes. Eventually, Uber will get used by the side of Caps, trying to run into this grouped up bunch of froyotech players. So a lot of flashing going on. So despite the Uber being slightly word, they still have an ample opportunity to try to fight mid, but immediately two melting as that cast.
Blaze gonna get it direct though, and so that was incredibly. I don't know what word I want to use, but that was very aggressive from froyotech. Yeah, they had one pick and they're just like, we're just gonna push. One pick, who needs to? So yeah, GCI gonna end up with even Ubers, but on last year. So not what you like to see for GCI. It's kind of rare to see you just sack one person, and without anything super disastrous happening, you just lose the team fight.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much because they left Valley open. Like they got onto Sin or whatever, but then two people just peeked through Valley and
they just peeked all the doors.
Yeah, I mean, and realistically, if you're only down one, you should be able to at least somewhat cover it. But I guess the person who was on Valley just didn't.
Ready for it.
Yeah, I guess whoever was on Valley duty just got too weak, and then Sin surfed the wrong way. And then if there's no stickies, you kill the demo man. It's much easier to be super chaotic and flood in. So I guess it kind of makes sense in that regard. But froyotech in a pretty good position here in the enemy team's lobby, even Ubers, trying to poke around
on the right side. Yeah, so. Right side of last is going to be maybe not weak, but it's just kind of Rakuso over there with a sentry to kind of back him up. So we're curious to see how froyotech wants to sack this. I see a lot of stickies just being glittered all over the ground on the left side of the map. Both demos just putting stickies on the floor, giving scouts something to do, I guess, have to clear those stickies. And froyotech actually going to try to spam this gun, and Catface is active for repairing it, but the spam is too much and the gun's going to go down. Two soldier spam. It's just in an unfortunate spot, so maybe move it over a little.
Blaze lower.
Oh, is he? Oh,
yeah, he's ready to go.
It's kind of he got an air shot actually, but he lived. He gets bowed actually. froyotech's just walking through these doors.
And they're still in it. They're trying to go for a two-man as hard as they can. Blaze will eventually fall, and I think Slum almost caught. Barely escapes her at HP, able to get out and turn that two-man just a one-man.
Crusoe's in from lower. Gonna try to kill Slemdish. Slemdish is gonna able to clean up the kill with the beam, and we do see a soldier. He's pogoing in.
Oh, Slim from lower as well. Hitting on to May.
Heads up play from May. They're milking to preserve his life there. If he pops, that might have been a successful last push for froyotech. So, it's always scary when you're under 50 HP as medic and you don't want to pop, but sometimes you gotta pop it, or rather not pop it. And heads up play from May, and froyotech kind of back to square one. We do have the Slemdish sniper, the first real off class of this whole series, really. So I have to see. Slemdish you know, in addition to being one of the best scouts to ever play the game, if not the best scout, Sniper is also very scary to play against. I can attest to it myself.
Slumdish hit scan in general is just very terrorizing, so curious to see what's going to happen. He gets his first surprise shot here eventually. There's also no SVS to really worry about, but they will eventually notice the sniper is existing, so GC have to kind of change up the way they're holding at least slightly to make sure they're not in any sight lines for too long, but
there
even
goes
just a
Rakusa.
second isn't enough for Rakusa to fall, and that's just more room. He's just poking around.
He
Takes
does
some
eat
damage though.
He does eat some damage, but he's gonna get right back up, and they don't really have any. They have down one spamming class. He's actually gonna eat a pipe, and Blaze goes for the sack in the meantime. But they can just kind of sit here with the sniper. I don't see anyone going for any flanking play, so it's only a matter of time before he gets someone important.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, because the gun and a lot of teams will be over on this left-hand side, this right-hand side from the defender's perspective is usually the door that is.
Oh, the Rakusa spy.
Oh, here we go.
It's already turned into what I wanted. We have multiple off classes and we have Rakusa one spy. I wonder if he stabs.
Mirror Man heard him. Mirror Man heard the decloak.
Did he?
Mirror Man heard the decloak.
Mirror Man is a Highlander player, but he's gonna get the stab on Slumdish, and he lives. He got buffed by Skis actually. Skis buffed him to 185. That's,
and the force onto Skis too. Sin going in for the play and making sure that the Uber is taken out for the side of Froyo. So plays back to back coming from the side of the GCI soldiers, one off classing to give them opportunity to push out of their last.
My favorite part is how Skis buffed the disguise and just buffed him as poor Slumdish got stabbed. You hate to see it, but May gonna have a full Uber to work with, but pushing out last is kind of scary. They do have the energy right now, so I think they're gonna leave Catface on last with the sentry and leave the rest of the 5 players.
Oh, that trap.
May is so hurt. Oh, he's gonna have to use. He has to use just the keeps him. Rakusa dies to something, and two players are trying to go to last. Two players are trying to go to last, but there's a sentry.
Catface on last, able to clean up Blaze, and Slem is just actually Slem got out. I think he recognized it wasn't enough to go off of.
Froyotech wants to refight though. They know they have now they have the red work. But Skis is gonna drop really low to spam. They're gonna try to fight anyway, but there's a lot of red players there. Sin Karma actually gonna die just from 5 people walking at him, and now it's basically just the same scenario. You know, back at last, they have small Uber disad to work with, but they do have a level 3 already, which is gonna probably put a little bit of a hold on things. I think Froyotech wants to get this gun first, but Catface is they are gonna get the gun. So
Slem's just in through lower as well. He finds an opportunity to poke around. They're popping through right off the bat, trying to launch themselves. Able to clean up Rakusa, going across the point and maybe clean up Caps. Will find that kill. No Uber heavy in spawn. Will eventually. Actually, he's not even switching on. He's trying to waddle to the point. He's so slow. He can't get there in time. And that is a round for Froyo. Heavy, too slow.
Yeah, May got that Uber at the last second, but they had to hide and spawn to get the Uber, and Froyotech just had the positioning. So, you know, that kind of force from Skis ended up in the long run kind of working in their favor, because then it, baited GCI into the push out, which then didn't go well for them. So then Froyotech just had Uber head to push into last, and that's what they really needed, and that was just Uber head. So, on that note, on to the next bit.
Yep, spam going across, gonna be arrows for both sides. Ski is dropping to 60. Was it Sin Karma spam, I guess?
Health.
He is so low, and one more sticky will clean him up. So Manny falling as well. Just immediately upon entry, this mid is a wash for the side of... Oh, never mind. I say it's a wash, but they salvage with GCI players being inside each other's models. So giving a little bit of freebie there. Slumdish could clutch a 1v2. It's just a scout demo. If he kills the scout, he can kill the demo after. He's ducked underneath the point. Sin wants to participate because he knows he's slower and will pull out the sword. But Caps will eventually get that kill.
He's not gonna pull out the sword too because oh, there he goes. Okay, he lost the health. Yeah, it's had to see, but
almost disastrous.
Yeah, almost disastrous. But in the end, they're gonna themselves. But Froyotech wants to refight. Skis died so early that they're kind of have their heals here, and GCI is just their heals are just rolling it. So mid fight D2 with Slumdish dead, and Blaze is gonna drop low immediately. Froyotech might have to back out here, and Mirror Man goes behind, and he's getting chased by a scout, and he does the full damage.
Cleaned up, yeah. Fall damage, just barely cleaned up. I think they just tried to use the heal advantage, and I think their soldiers died first in like the sack wave, so they can get some positioning to spam, but their spam and their buffs didn't really come into play. Yeah, they weren't able to get enough damage.
And no Slumdish too, because Slumdish was a late pick, means they're just down a scout, which is, especially being down Slumdish is so huge. Sin is by Cafe. He might go for something there if he sees it, but he sees that no real opportunity there to go anything. Just gonna spam. They do have a very slight Uber head to work with, but I assume...
Oh, crits!
Wait, it's crits?
It was crits! I didn't even notice that. Habib immediately falling to the crits, and I mean, it's not a medic, but it's still a nice pick to get, but Froyotech immediately respawning in time with the Uber, they're trying to chase down as many players as they can. Getting Russo very weak. Manny on the chase, trying to get into Cap, get launched, but they aren't able to chase anyone. Cap's behind, trying to get the Cap, will draw everyone back, and that's gonna actually...
Slumdish!
What?
That
All
was
right,
insane.
able to clean up Slemners with his last breath, and that's enough for
That was a
for
huge play
GCI.
for Caps living for so long.
He lived for so long. Let's
Wait,
GCI
May
is
the-
walking, but May in a corner, gonna get cleaned up by the side of Mirror Man, bombing in, gonna get killed by Sin Karma. Platform control by Blaze, counter bombing. This is Goomba stomp mid-air, the soldiers landing on top of each other. Catface and Rakuso in the backline. Catface getting cleaned up, Rakuso jumping away. So a lot of chaos happening from the side of GCI, but froyotech responding in kind, cleaning up enough players to.
I think
set
Froyotech's
themselves
gonna
for
get
pretty
mid
much
off
a
this,
free mid.
maybe even second, because they have such a big Uber to work with here. I think GCI might want to dry this, but they're just actually gonna spam and realize, okay, Froyotech, pretty close to Uber, we can't fight this. It's gonna back up, try to get a force in second and hold last. We'll have to see what their plan is here, because this is not an ideal situation, but they do have Catface on Sniper. So that is their play. Catface is gonna be on Sniper, he's gonna, I don't see where he is.
If they spot it, they're just gonna do a Habib bomb probably. But the question is, will they spot it? They're playing a little slow. They're trying to poke around. Actually, he's in Shudder. I thought he was bats. So
Oh,
there's
that's
no
why
way
I
they
didn't see it.
So
He's
there's
in
no way they
forwards.
spot
Okay,
it. So
I knew he was
this is the big
somewhere.
play. He's gonna wait
Okay,
for his
yeah.
teammates to call it, pretty much.
Yeah, this is...
Now would be the time.
Yeah,
they
and
gotta,
they lose
gotta
Slemners
pick on
to a
a slug.
trap. Yeah, I think he's not even charging up his shot, he's just looking
He
for
just wants
something.
a quick scope.
He left
Oh.
forwards, he missed the shot. I don't think they know this.
Oh,
Skis
Skis
knows.
heard it. Skis heard it. Skis
Oh.
heard it. He's going for it.
Oh,
he gets
hits
the body
50.
shot.
He almost hit the main lane.
But May falls as well. Blaze be able to clean up that kill. I didn't even see where that was because I was watching Skis, but Skis
Disaster for GCI.
barely getting a force there, but so many resources expended. They
They
haven't
don't
got
have
the cap
second,
yet. Yeah, it's
They're
hard
not
to keep
capping
the
it
train
either.
rolling.
Froyotech wants to go to last, but they do need the second point. I'm sure they know that, but I guess they just want the space, because they do have, again, like 20% Uberad, not even pushable, but we'll have to see. And yeah, so it's probably gonna end up just stalemating the last of those. Froyotech really believes in themselves and want to go into last, but yeah, I think they're just gonna chill. The Uber, I'm curious if Froyo thinks this is that or not.
I mean, they know that May died from Blaze, so they probably think it's something. I mean, they're building it. So I think they probably know it's slim if it exists.
Yeah.
Realistically. I mean, you could go off a slim adage,
Yeah,
but you
you
have to play it
can.
a certain way.
If there's a team to do it, Froyotech is one of those teams that if they see a little advantage, they might just, let's
they're
go for it.
poised to.
Yeah,
They're going in.
they do. I
Yep,
think
we're going off the
they're
bat.
going for point pressure, and no one's here to block it. Manny's getting so much point time. The Uber is going to come out, and Froyotech might not be in a good position for this, but actually no one died, and GCI lost someone, and now Froyotech has so much cap time, they're going to be able to immediately refight. Mirrorman just bombs the point, and is he going to get it? He gets it.
And two people inside each other's models, both standing on the point, same idea, but that's just so much more damage for the side of Mirror Man, able to make sure that second round is secured. Froyotech leading the charge here up 2-0 in the first half of this second map of Sunshine. So curious to see how the mids are going to transpire. You know, first one was a bit of a wash, second one was well, I guess it was kind of a wash as well. We've seen some really early deaths, honestly, both the mids. So
Yeah.
curious to see if that's going to happen once again.
Habib is
Someone
already
melting
really
right off the
hurt.
bat.
Dude, Froyotech's like just entering mid, and they're already just hurt. Habib is not having a good time on this mid. Mirrorman is in a pretty good position to do some splash. May gonna drop pretty low, 70 HP. Mirrorman's on the high ground. Mirrorman's having a grand old time, and now he's getting scout classed, and he's out in Valley, and GCI are all kind of each other's models, so it's on Habib here to really do some damage.
Bomb from
Bombing.
Rakuso, he's actually going to commit onto Habib, and then maybe Skis
is
instead
hurt.
getting a nice rocket. Skis pretty much can't participate in the rest of the mid unless he wants to put it live to the wrist. Air from May dropping Slumdish low, but the players for GCR are pretty
May's
much
still
all
in,
dead.
and
Spare
he
May,
just
who would
killbinds.
yeah, probably
He
best
knew.
play.
There's no way he's living.
They would have
So-
called just like keep
Yeah,
the
keep
medic
him
as a
alive.
pet.
Yeah, that's honestly the bigger, smarter play is to just kill blind there, so that way you're up faster for you don't want to get a worse respawn. And Froyotech's in last. They know that this is their round to lose. We might be going to halftime pretty soon here, but GCI, they do have caps on NG, they have Catface on Sniper, so Froyotech does have a last push here, but the Froyotech last pushes have looked pretty clean so far. People are going to drop really low from Froyotech in lobby.
They got a pyro on the field too. So they're really banking on it being a left side push from the defender's perspective, which is usually the default, but I guess it's not necessarily guaranteed. So curious to see how long this pyro is going to last and if he's even going to be useful. But it looks like he's at the right door. It looks like he's guessed right.
Yep.
Especially 'cause
Froyotech
the guns
hasn't
here.
really mixed up these pushes, and Catface, yeah, he got kind of pushed into lobby, but that might have bought enough time. May's actually so far in. Habib was
body
in spawn.
block.
May got the Banny bind off with like 5 HP, but GCI still are down to. Froyotech doesn't have that much. May has 85%. He has to get this Uber. If Froyotech's actually going to back up, they realize, oh, May probably is Uber. We just need to hold second here, go for maybe a back cap or something. We'll have to see.
Pyro bought enough time. They weren't able to get a whole lot of
May's
PC
in,
from
he
May.
needed
Popped in
to
the air,
direct.
7 HP. Blaze trying to go for it.
He's so hurt.
Barely getting any. I guess it's enough damage to make
May's
May
kind
really
of in
scared
lobby.
though. Mayor Man, the cleanup though, making sure that force is able to happen. So expending both soldiers for that force bandy, able to snake his way out from behind. Barely living at least for now, but the chase is on, trying to... Actually, he's able to get the kill on Rakuso. Skis is meeting him, but will eventually fall, but the pipe from the beam makes sure the May falls. The collapse is happening, 3v3, leaves now Sniper on the field from Slimish to make sure the caps is cleaned up. And yeah, all this time, they don't have two. This is really deep. Habib actually behind. Trying to get the same and make sure the cat face dies as well. And I think GCI have bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. Not only they got the medic, but they lost their own and didn't even make sure that second was secured.
Yeah, it's they did get skis, but they're basically in a pretty similar situation. I guess now that it's even Ubers instead of Uber Desad, but it's not a pleasant situation to be in when you're down 2-0, you know, and now you have to deal with Slimish Sniper. Of course, they're not aware of that yet, unless they're checking in spawn.
Some got a kill at mid.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't even realize.
They chased so deep that they went into mid, and Slimish saw them peeking valley, and he got a no-scope kill.
Okay, yep, and now he's peeking left side, so they do know. Okay, and they're gonna get Rakuso immediately. Rakuso, yeah, he's on the right side. He has to peek that door, you know. So it looks like we have seen this before. Slimish trying to peek here. Maybe Rakuso comes up spy again and stabs him. We'll have to see.
Oh, Vermeerman gonna die from the Sin spam, so gun still up, gonna thwart Benny from actually getting too much here, but will get cleaned up by the side of Caps as his retreat into dungeon will not be quite effective, and Beep taking some damage will eventually surf the damage back. Blaze dropping to 10, but will get saved by Slim. At
Blaze
least
gonna die
for a little bit. Yeah.
Went for the forward packing, maybe a little greedy there. Caps is actually gonna clear the sneaky trap. I think they want to exchange. They do want to exchange.
Rakuso taking space too, but held the shot! Rakuso bombed forward and made space and made Slimnish surf backwards enough to where May felt safe, but he surfed into what was still a sniper sideline and just got the shot and killed May.
Slimnish Sniper is just, it's terrifying, and you're seeing it now why. It's just, it's so much, and now froyotech has full Uber ad. May is just spawning now. You know, sometimes it is a little rough to push last with the sniper, but Slimnish has a big, long angle to work with here. We'll have to see what happens. The sentry gun is still alive. It's gonna go down now. froyotech basically uses their Uber to get a kill on a sentry gun pick, but there is a Pudis, and they get Slimnish in the back half of the big flank, getting 2 players, and froyotech gonna back up an unsuccessful last push that, you know, the heavy and a big flank from Caps, they're really gonna salvage it.
Yep, no classic. Your flanks is getting picked off right off the bat, and it's going to be really tough for Froyo to hold. They have a kill on a Sin they can work with if things last long enough, but actually Sin Karma, he's kind of off and alone, and Bay's trying to go for that kill,
and Sin Karma gonna die.
They're getting punished by a little bit of miscoordination and not playing together, so GCI, their opportunity kind of thrown in the garbage can, have to go back to last, and if they want to push out, they're going to have to use their 20 ad, which is most teams are probably not going to do that.
GCI is really struggling to push out a last, and froyotech knows that they have a 2-pick advantage, even though they have Uber Desad to go into. They're going to trade kills on Bandy's on the point. May blocks the point with the Zuber, but they
go pop him in the air!
The sneakies from the deep launched him up! And that's a 3-0 for froyotech for the first half here. GCI got to go back to the drawing board to figure out how to push out a last.
The rough thing for the side of GCI is I don't even think it's necessarily froyotech outplaying them at GCI. There's been some moments where they've been outplaying themselves pretty much, and I think that last push out was an example of it. If you don't have everyone on the same page, it's really easy for a team to try to notice that and punish it, and froyotech have just been on top of punishing GCI this map. You know, even when things go wrong, they're able to see like, all right, sure, we're in a bad situation, maybe we lost X player, or our Uber didn't work out, but they still notice the little things of like, oh, these people are all bunched up. Oh, this door's not being watched. Or, you know, little things like that. Or a player being alone is the last example, Sin just basically being off in no man's land, and they're able to use that to their advantage to even things out and collect as many rounds as they are there. They're up despite, you know, some ups and downs, I'd say, in the rounds.
Yeah, it's looking at the stats, we can see that the flank from GCI, they just have to hold last and get sniped by Slimish. So they're having a sad game. Rakuso 2-14. One of those is a spy pick too. But it's not like they're not doing, you know, Rakuso's still doing damage. Cathy's is an engineer half the game, so that's why their damage looks low. So it's not like they're necessarily playing bad. It's just that, you know, you're kind of holding last, and there's only so much you can do if the only times you get the fighter when froyotech has Uber. So I can't really blame them too hard. The real impressive thing,
stats really look wonky all the time, honestly.
The impressive thing is that the combo from GCI is doing more damage than the froyotech combo other than Habib. So Sin Karma, Caps, and Sin doing a lot of work out there, but, you know, for what cost? They won the first 2 mids as well, and it just, you know, they can't get around off of it. They just can't push. They win these last fights too. They win on their last, and they have, like, it should be going in their favor, and they just can't get out of last.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to what I said about the little mistake, because you can find an opportunity, sure, to put yourself in a good situation, or you could make it. Sure, you can make the opportunity yourself. But if you find success just to immediately like execute something a little poorly, your opportunity is just thrown away. I think for the side of Froyo, anytime that something has gone wrong for them, they've successfully made the best out of a bad situation. Where for GCI, their good situations are just turning bad more often than not. So it's kind of opposite in terms of what's happening to both these teams.
Yeah. At least for GCI though, it is their map pick, so maybe again, maybe they just need to do some small adjustments, which they honestly kind of looked like. They looked like overall, like they're winning mids, they're winning their last offenses. They just, as long as they can get those transitions in check, I think they'll be in an all right spot. Caps is like your pocket six going 17-5. Caps is having a standout game. It's not like they're playing poorly. They just need again those transitions, and I think they'll be okay, especially because their mids were pretty good in the first half. They won 2 out of the 3 mids.
True. I guess the one thing to also keep in mind though is I think we saw last map how well froyotech was able to adjust. They went into Bagel, which was their pick, but still somewhat blind in terms of the experience for this season at the very least. The matches. First half a little bit more rough, but we kind of saw they were able to identify in the halftime what they needed to adjust and change to make whatever issues they were having pretty much almost disappear. And even though they're up 3-0, there's been a little bit of back and forth, and it's not necessarily a super fast match. So Froyotech still have some room to change some things, and GCI are gonna have a long road ahead of them. Not only come across and come over the things that they've been dealing with the first half, but deal with what Froyotech has in store for them this second half as well, as we go into the first mid of the second half between Froyotech and GCI here on Sunshine.
Habib actually can eat an immediate 40 to 50 damage sticky, so he's gonna get bowed up. St. Karma now actually gonna be the weak one. Both demos gonna be healthy. GCI actually gonna elect to do a kind of right side push. Recruzo's just in. He really wants. He's making space he's gonna die for it. Mirrorman also gonna die, but Sin Karma gonna die off of the space that Mirrorman made. So it looks like in
Blaze
the end,
gets arrowed by both medics.
and yeah, someone, I think Slemdish was 1 health, so he barely manages to live. And GCI gonna be in the back foot here, gonna be backing up 2 second. They're probably not gonna be able to hold second either with just these picks. So it's back to last for GCI. We've kind of feel like we've seen this one before. Mirrorman's on Spy.
Oh, Mirrorman on Spy. This is a bit of a long rollout, but I think actually, all right, now we're reaching the timing where this is like kind of weird. This is weird Spy timing.
Yeah, it is, which is why it's good. If a roamer sacks and then nothing happens for 2 minutes, most teams are gonna think, oh, there might be a Spy. But it's kind of a weird scenario. You might not expect a Spy here, so he does have the advantage of that. They probably don't expect it, and it doesn't really look like they are. And Blaze went for a sack too, which makes it even more believable, because you don't really expect Froyo to detect and not have soldiers, and he's in position. Catface is here too, just kind of body blocking him from getting the medic.
Here's the decloak. He wants the bigger kill. He does not want the
They
sniper.
haven't turned around.
And he gets it. His greed pays off. They lose Habib for it, but I'm sure they'll take a meta drop, and they're already on the chase. They know there's no central gun. They're just in. They want to clean up as many kills as possible.
Pyro.
Yeah, chasing now. Caps gonna work their way over towards the point now, or at least try to get as many kills as possible. But
and here's the soldier finally. Blaze is gonna be on the point here, gonna die, but they're gonna get 2 kills for it. That's gonna be a 4-0 for Froyotech. GCI on their last legs here if they don't want to get sent back down to the losers bracket. So we'll have to see what they pull out on this kind of match point. They got to pull out all the stops here and win this mid and hopefully win the round.
yeah, it really all comes down to this if they don't want to get sent to lower. So going to be curious to see what happens during this spin. They still have a little bit of chance. We've seen some, reverse sweeps before, so who's to say? But going into what could potentially be the last mid, depending. Going to be able to see what happens here. Spam going across both sides. Beeb's still pretty low, but will eventually be able to take an arrow to heal himself up. Same with Sin Karma, so everyone's relatively healthy. Not tons and tons of buffs, but a little bit of positioning advantage for the side of GCI. Going to try to take it back by the side of Froyo, but Mirrorman and Blaze actually taking a lot of damage. GCI in the driver's seat, but Sin gonna fall, landing on,
Look at the positioning. GCI though, they're all on the high ground, and Froyotech's all on the low ground, so they do have a little bit of a high ground advantage to work with, even though the health is not great for Froyotech either. They're gonna get bowed up, but now Skis is gonna take damage, so the Caps is gonna fall. Now they're down 2. They're gonna get Mirrorman. Skis is 25 health. Are they gonna be able to clean up the kill? Skis actually, they're gonna back up. Okay, that's a wise decision, because they have, if you lose that mid, you kind of probably lose the game, but now that they can hold second, now they don't have the immediate have to worry about last just losing the game. So heads up play from GCI. And Catface is on Sniper. Interesting.
I think this mid was another great example of froyotech being able to take advantage of like little
Slumdish
things.
is
I think
behind.
they had a positional disadvantage the entire time, pretty much, but were still able to come up on top of them.
Wait, what's
But this
happening?
is a 3-man to try to get as many kills as possible.
Mirrorman's in a corner. They didn't check the corner. Mirrorman's in a corner.
Oh, no.
Sid Karma. He
It's
spotted
in
too early. The
time,
mate's
though.
gonna drop to it. Mirrorman just in the perfect position. They even spotted it, but it was just, he was in the perfect position. As that was a force at minimum, and it looks like it's a drop. So, froyotech are gonna have full 100% Uber here, but they do have to push into a sniper. Never mind. Sniper's dead. Slumdish got him. GCI do get mid,
bombing in.
a little bit of a consolation, and froyotech do pop their Uber. May's actually gonna spawn and get forwards here, but Habib's gonna bomb the forwards base. It's a medic versus demo at MGE.
At least he's locking down May, even if he gets punished for this. He's still living, at least for now. Sin Karma trying to run forward and clean up the snowman. It will succeed in that endeavor. Trying to fight Banny. Rakusa coming to help him, bombing forward onto skis. Nice head rocket, but not quite enough life to be able to survive long enough to get the second one to clean up that skis kill. So overall, successful play from the side of froyotech, only spending Habib to make sure they're able to not only take down May and Sin, but collect this cap for themselves. So decent app for them to work with. They've worked with less so far this match, so they've worked with like 20% ad. So like a 30 or 41, I'm sure they'll definitely take this to go in. Especially because there's lots of time to poke around and to see where things are that they know that it's a pyro sentry once again. So the sentry is moved though, so they might be a little bit surprised in terms of the location, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. But not too much longer until they pick a door.
They do have a sniper. They do have the engineer. They have two
Oh, no
soldiers.
pyro. Okay.
Yeah, no pyro. I kind of like the sniper because he really kind of makes you have to pop instantly, and they do. They have to.
I agree.
They pop instantly, and now Cafes can just switch to heavy. Caps is on heavy actually. Cafe's pyro, so no scouts on the board. But wait, it's crits.
Oh, and the laser beam comes out, collects Habib
Star
and
Wars.
Blaze.
He got 2 kills, and they're gonna back up, and they have crits. I actually, if
Oh,
you
he
go for
He's on Uber now.
Oh, that's a heads-up play, too. So he gave up having the Uber ad for the surprise Uber, because they're going to expect crits, and then Froyo's going to play like they have crits, assuming they don't notice it. Slumdish actually going to die at Catface. I didn't see where that was. Catface is in.
Yeah, bombing onto the platform, trying to take some
They need to
positioning.
get this last fight, or rather push out of last. They need to get this transition right. I don't see any back up attempts, so they look pretty clean so far, but froyotech still want to fight this even though they're down Slumdish.
Yeah, they're not really taking the platform all the way up until now, so froyotech is still trying to hold on.
Big
They've got
deny
their
on
players
the
in
Sin.
time, and this is pretty much just a straight-up dry fight. There's no real advantage to work off of one-for-one trade for the side of Catface and Mirrorman, but overall, at the end of the day, this is going to be like banging your head against a brick wall for the side of GCI if you try to push this issue any further.
I think froyotech's going to push thinking it's... Froyotech's gonna push like it's Uberad. Maybe they do. They're not gonna be able to push. Last time Froyotech thinks it's Uberad, but it's because they have crits. But it's actually just even Ubers.
Yeah, pretty much. They have a heavy as well.
Yeah, look, they didn't expect it though. I don't think they expected it. Now Habib's gonna die.
He's in use though.
Oh, he didn't use. Oh, I thought he used.
They just milked in, and I guess they thought the threat would be the crits that never saw it coming, so they never used. But May falling as well.
Gonna die. Oh, and that might be GG. It's just they're trying to back cap second. Caps can block this. Oh, wait, are they going to be able to block this? No, they can't get it to the last second. That's a 5-0 for froyotech on Sunshine. froyotech are going to head into semifinals here. Going to play against, I believe, Witness Gaming.
They adapted pretty well this match.
They
Started
did.
off a little shaky, but still ended up strong, especially on this map, which was the opposing team's map pick, coming in. Making sure the rematch was a similar result of the regular season match, taking this away 5-0, headstrong off into upper bracket round 2, where they will play, like you said, Witness Gaming next week.
Really like how Bandy typed, introducing GCI to the own zone, featuring skis. So, froyotech, gonna get that, and I must say, Bagel did not look dominant for froyotech, so I was hopeful for GCI going to Sunshine, but Sunshine looked very dominant for froyotech. I would not want to play froyotech on that map if I was any other team, because froyotech looked like they had that map in the bag, other than maybe one or like 2 or 3 mids where they kind of lost. That looked very, very dominant for froyotech. That looked like old froyotech that, you go into grand finals thinking, oh, they're going to roll, and then they do roll.
Yeah, playoffs is the time where people turn up if there is any reason on an individual basis you were ever holding back. And now these are the couple weeks, so this is the month where that pretty much doesn't happen. The grind starts, everyone, shapes themselves up and gives it all they got. So especially compounded with the idea that usually 5CP isn't considered the upset map ever unless it's like a super new map. It's usually Koth, so not too surprising to see the start being Bagel being the map that's a little bit closer than Sunshine later in the match.
Yeah,
it's 5CP, everyone can adapt, and froyotech run away with it.
Poor Habib. That second half, guess how many kills he got?
0.
He got 0 kills that second half. Absolute. It wasn't like he was beefing too. He did good damage. It's just that's demo man.
And
Sometimes
that's Sunshine Dome, man.
Yeah,
Everything's
Sunshine
too far
Demo.
away. Your stickies do 30 damage. How are you gonna snipe a kill with 30 damage stickies?
sometimes you just do a ton of damage. He actually took the most damage to the server, so apparently everyone just shot Habib while they lost. But yeah. So heads up play from froyotech there, getting the 5-0. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if it's rare, but seeing a 5-0 in playoffs, it's definitely not what you expect sometimes. So
It's very dominant.
yeah, that's very more dominant than you expect in playoffs. So froyotech really know their stuff on Sunshine, and it's interesting because froyotech looked shaky on the GCI map pick, but they looked dominant the other way around. froyotech looked dominant on GCI map pick, and GCI looked weak on the froyotech map pick.
I mean, realistically,
The other way around again. I'm an idiot.
realistically, I think
Words are hard.
that can be common to happen. You know, you pick a map, you feel comfortable on it, maybe you don't grind as much on it where it's like, oh, we're playing this map, they picked this, and you like weren't prepared and have to focus a little bit more on it for your scrims, and that can sometimes happen where you like over prepare for your opponent's map but maybe miss a thing or two on your own. But I mean, at the end of the day, still come up on top. I guess that's what really matters when it comes to playoffs. You know, in the regular season, maybe you can get really nitpicky about like how badly you want to win a map and by what margins, because the rounds can kind of come into play if you're like trying to secure a certain seed or maybe even make the playoff race in the first place. Rounds can come into effect, but in playoffs, no one cares about the rounds. It's just about the win. I'll win 5-4 or win 5-0. I literally do not care as long as it's a W, because the rounds don't carry an over in any sense of the word. So as long as you're
Get
comfortable
that dub.
enough that you can win the match at the very least in the playoff race, I don't think you necessarily care by what margins, which I guess kind of goes back to it making sense that froyotech does a map pick that might be a little bit more experimental in terms of what they're familiar with this season.
Yeah, and it's good because they got the experience on it now. So now they can't really, if it's in grand finals, they haven't played Bagel at all. You'd be a lot more nervous than we already got our Bagel match out of the way, so we've at least had something to go back to. We have a base that we've experienced on that map. So
yeah, gotta cover your bases.
Yep, gotta cover your bases. I think froyotech's played pretty much every map. It's interesting we didn't go to the third map, Vigil. But that's another one of those maps that you kind of see as kind of like the surprise map pick in
Villa?
playoffs. The Villa, sorry, yeah, Villa. Yeah, we didn't see Villa, which was kind of the surprise one. So we didn't see that, but they have played Villa this season before, so I don't think there's any real surprise maps for Froyo this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Witness team may pick, but probably not going to be too much longer until we see that. But we do have some people coming in for interviews. We have Bandy and Habib. Hello, guys. Welcome and congrats on your victory.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the map picks. You guys going ahead and picking Bagel, and that was a map you were comfortable with, while also them picking Sunshine. Obviously, you never know what your opponent's going to pick. Do you have any initial thoughts when you saw the overall map pool, what you were comfortable with and what you expected?
I would say that right now we feel pretty confident on Koth. It's been a good game type for us, so it's kind of interchangeable, whether it be Viaduct, Bagel, Clear Cut. So we got one of those in. For them, I think that their favorite maps are more like Metalworks and Process, but they went for Sunshine. I am a bit confused on that one, if I'm being honest. I feel like
it's a rematch, right, from regular season?
Is it? Did we play them on that map?
I think so. Unless
Yeah.
I thought
It was like a
you guys
5-1
did.
or something. I
Wait,
think so.
what map? What map?
Sunshine.
Wasn't this a rematch
Oh.
of your regular season match versus them?
I am checking, but RGL is giving me the funny.
Oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, you're
we did-
right.
we
It was
did-
1-5.
We did play. We played GCI on Sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was a rematch. I don't know if they felt like that match should have gone their way or something, or just been a map they've enjoyed lately. But it's traditionally been one of our favorite maps, so we're happy that they picked it. We prepared well, and did what we needed to do.
Is there any special considerations or like special things you have to prepare specifically to play against GCI? Like some teams, they have certain habits and certain propensities that they like to do certain things. So is there anything you had to kind of warn everyone on, like, oh, hey, this team does X, gotta watch out for it?
Yeah, there's a few tendencies like that. I would say in general, always any sort of early, like fast rollout type stuff, we're always trying to pay attention to and anticipate. I think that's the kind of stuff that they have been known to do at times. And they did a little bit of that, like on Sunshine. They were setting up kind of a double fast rollout spam. They didn't like double commit, but they were trying to put a lot of pressure on our choke. It killed Skis once, but then didn't again. So,
I think it was Skis' only death.
oh, did he barely die that match?
Yeah, I don't think he died that. Maybe towards the end, but I know initially he was doing pretty well. I'd have to check.
Yeah. Yeah, besides like early sort of things that catch us off guard, I don't think that team has like too many wild cards that they bust out. Maybe like Spy every once in a while from Rakuso. I know sometimes they like to go crits or heavy, you know, that kind of stuff, which they did catch us on still, but at that point, it was a little too late, I would say.
So let's talk about overall the BO3. It seems like you guys pretty much improved throughout the entirety of the match and got a even better footing as time went on. But at the beginning, it took a bit to kind of get yourselves in the groove and get an idea for what GCI was going to throw at you. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you ran into at the beginning of the match on Bagel that you kind of had to fix within yourselves, or maybe counter strat or anything like that to put yourselves in a better spot to overall take the map and continue the train rolling onto Sunshine?
We got Habib and Mirman here. You guys can answer.
Yeah, I think the main thing we realized, like in the middle of the first half, was they played right house way more than any team we'd previously played against. We had to basically just change where a couple of our players played just to deal with the pressure on the right. Because if you watch the first 2 rounds back, they got behind like 10 times in 2 rounds, just pushing through the right house. His plays was just so low over there, and our big adjustment was just going for that and then making sure we just don't like randomly feed while holding the point.
Yeah, so important. Because when you have, especially if you have the point and you just feed, that can really mess up your entire respawners. Because like you have the worst timer on your side. So keeping all the numbers in sync and just playing defensive just worked out really.
Makes sense. Can you also talk a little bit on Bagel? It seems like, sometimes you'll see teams on Koth in particular, as soon as they have an Uber and they don't have the point, they'll just go ahead and try to use it to gain it. But it seems like both teams, that wasn't necessarily the metric for them to try to retake the point. It was much more on a positional advantage or like trying to set up a play. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys were trying to achieve when it came to retaking points in particular when they were able to take it?
Bagel's like the cap's so fast on that map. Generally, like the main game plan, I feel like most teams in Invite go for is just pressure the point, like try to get that cap time, and then try to pick someone who tries to stop it. Or if they just take too much damage, then you go off of it. But for the most part, I feel like it's just general edge the cap, pressure the point, have your demo trap a random corner, just keep pressuring them back and play for cap time that way, and then don't let the other team do the same to you.
And then, unlike Bagel, Sunshine was pretty dominant. I mean, there were maybe a couple spots where the mids were a bit of a wash, but at the end of the day, you guys come up on top 5-0. Can you talk a little bit about the things that you found really successful right off the bat that net you as good a position as you had in the first half and leading into the second as well?
You saying on Sunshine?
Yeah, the things that you think worked out really well for your team that you found success in.
I don't know. Honestly, we just we won like later mids more. I think we just did a good job of stabilizing if we were ever down numbers. I don't think we really had to hold last ever, so it was usually a lot of like second point defenses that I think gave us the chance like to retake control in the rounds. We'd get the force, then like repush, or we'd get people behind and then repush. So those kinds of moments where we just didn't hesitate, I think they played a big part in it. Otherwise, I think just slowing it down a bit as we approached their second was really important. Making sure our flank was healthy, making sure all of our players were aware of what the push was going to look like. That was really important. I think for the last week, that's kind of been our focus, and it played out pretty well for us there. We had some struggles in the recent days where it just like was a bit too much chaos, so making a point to slow down a bit and make sure everyone's coordinated is what I think really helped us.
So obviously, for the continuation of playoff race, you're going to be playing Witness Gaming next. Obviously, you can't really say too much because you don't want to leak strats or anything. So instead of asking about that matchup, I'll go ahead and ask you about your opinions on the opposing matchup in the lower bracket. You've played one of the teams today, and you saw the other team play yesterday. Do you have any initial thoughts about the Ford versus GCI game, and who do you think is going to have a bit of an edge going into that BO3?
Yeah, that's gonna be a fucking crazy match. I think the next round of playoffs overall, both matches are gonna be really good. I think GlobalClan Ice will come out with some tech. I think they're gonna try and surprise Ford. But at the same time, I think Ford's been playing well, so they're both like poised to put up like a really good fight. It's really hard to call. I think a lot of it will just come down to what maps are chosen. But knowing, like, if I was either of those teams, I kind of know what maps the other team wants to play. So I would be potentially luring them into picking those maps and, trying to surprise them. That's how I would approach it if I was one of them.
Habib, Amir, do you guys have any thoughts about the other matchup in the lower bracket?
Yeah, I went for 0-4, but I think Ford versus GCI. I think that's gonna be a banger.
I'm interested to see how it plays out. Ford's playing the best they've played all season, and GCI's matching their early season performance in terms of scrims and just how well I feel like they're playing. So it'll be interesting to see if GCI can finally take it, because their other matches versus Mal weren't that close.
They kind of like had a little shaky like part in the middle of the season, but this team is this team is withstanding the ebbs and flows, and as every team goes through that phase of just, oh crap, we're not doing well, but GCR are looking pretty powerful. It's possible that they could actually upset Ford.
Yeah, I think GCI are like kind of the wild cards of playoffs, so to
Yeah.
speak. They kind of like they have high potential but also low lows. So you have to just see what day you get them on.
Mm-hmm.
They got Soapy back too, so that should be pretty interesting going up against a GCI that seems to be in one of the better spots they've been in all season, I think.
Yeah, that's huge
Yeah.
for them. If Soapy hadn't returned, they'd be getting fourth, like almost guaranteed. There's no disputing the fact that he's infinitely better at Soldier than
Poor
Phelps.
Phelps.
And he
dream.
came back energized and cleaner than ever, let's just say, pardon the pun.
Yeah, he was ready.
I think they're they're playing well. The weird thing that Ford's been doing lately is just like everyone's pushing flanks all the time. It's been a nightmare chasing these people around the map constantly.
Yeah,
But,
Howard and Soapy do really like to go behind.
Well, you'd think it was only them, but nah, Sandblast's back there, Alpha's back there. It's kind of crazy sometimes.
They're just committing everybody.
Yeah, so they showed promise against Witness. Like they kind of threw a couple rounds, to be honest, and Seeds had his technical issues. So if they can avoid that, they'll be doing pretty well. But like I said, I think GlobalClan Ice will bring some surprises. So
A poor seedling, he lagged out.
All right, we're gonna have to wait with bated breath to see what happens for both matches that are gonna be happening next week. Gonna have to wait and see where they land in terms of scheduling, but hyped nonetheless. But for today, that's gonna be pretty much it. I think it's time to move over to the shout out phase. You got any last minute shout outs before we close out the stream, guys?
of course, shout out to all the viewers. Shout out to everyone who tuned in tonight for the match. Be sure to tune in next round for the second round of playoffs. Even better matches ahead, perhaps. Shout out to you guys for casting and for running the stream. Shout out to RGL for providing a great platform and community for competitive TF2 to thrive into the future. Shout out to everyone out there who's on the grind, trying to do their best, prepping for next season, prepping for playoffs, putting in that time, putting in that work. And shout out to the edgelords and the entitled haters.
Habib?
Yo, shoutouts to the haters and the entitled edgelords. You are the reason why we keep going forever and ever. Thank you. Shoutouts to the production. Shoutouts to the viewers. Oh man, and shoutouts to GlobalClan Ice. GG's.
Amir?
Shout outs to the fans.
Space.
I gotta give a shout out to production. Shout out to both teams playing a pretty good match. You know, great viewing content. I'll tell you that. And shout out to Skis as always.
Yeah, as always. Definitely shout out to all the viewers for hanging out and watching. Shout out to Dolphin for the production, catching all the highlights and all the air shots and all the sick plays that happens. And shout out to all the fans for, you know, hanging out with us for the interview phase as well. But for tonight, that's going to be it from us. Definitely want to check out what's going to be happening next week, probably like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday range. But at the end of the day, you can always catch Highlander on Mondays to maybe give a sneak peek of what the rest of the week will look like. But for tonight, that's going to be it for us. I've been Jarrett casting with Space Goes with Dolphin on production. Thank you and good night.